Let's think about how you transform an organisation. I just want to make three recommendations here. The first thing is, I think we need a sales culture in our organisations. I don't mean a sales culture within the sales organisation, I mean a sales culture within the entire organisation. This concept that everybody sells inside an organisation. It's incredibly important, and I'm going to give you a pretty odd example of someone that embraces this. I talked about the A380 earlier. In 2005 it first flew. In 2010 I actually published my book, which you can all have a free copy of today if you'd like. But in 2010 when I was publishing my book, there was an A380 QF32 flying from Singapore to Sydney, and Richard de Crespigny was the pilot in command, and this happened. Now we all know that aeroplanes can fly perfectly well without one engine. They glide perfectly well without any engines, but they can fly perfectly well without one or two engines. That engine just didn't fail, it exploded like a missile. It shot debris faster than the speed of sound through the fuselage, luckily not at passengers who would have got killed, but down where all of the landing gear was under the wings, and took out all of the landing gear and plane's hydraulics. It took out all of the hydraulics on the wings. The plane was 85% degraded in the ability to control it, and there was fuel leaking from everywhere, and they couldn't transfer fuel from the 13 different fuel tanks that they have on these things. So the longer they flew, the more imbalanced the plane was getting. They had no flaps, which you need to put down to slow a plane down to land. Now, I told you earlier that I'm not a fan of Airbus. I'm converted. I read this book in 2.5 days. I just devoured it. I highly recommend the book. You'll see it at any of the airport bookshops. But it's interesting what happened. When that engine exploded, people on the ground found bits of their Qantas aeroplane landing in their backyard. Now, I don't know whether you can see it, but there's a little graph up in the top left-hand corner there. That's Qantas's share price. This is the power of social media. People began to tweet up in Indonesia about a Qantas plane falling out of the sky. Alan Joyce was in a limousine in Sydney with his marketing director in the back seat with him, and the head of investor relations phoned Alan Joyce and said, "Do you know why our share price is falling through the floor?" That was the first sign of trouble that Qantas management had, that they had a problem with the plane. The power of social media is incredible. And people think about social media as, I want to project my brand out into the marketplace with social media, and yes, that's important. But the real power is what Jonathan was talking about. It's what IBM are world leaders in, and that's listening to social media, gathering information through social media to see what's happening out there in the marketplace. What customers are complaining about your brand, what opportunities are coming up over the horizon that you can go and engage with by listening well in the marketplace. And Richard de Crespigny saved the aircraft. It's an incredible story. But when he landed, he went and spent over an hour with all of the passengers in the terminal before they went out and saw the press and faced the onslaught. And he said to them, "When you fly Qantas, you're flying with a premium airline. We're not a budget carrier. You have every right to expect more, and you're going to get more with us." He said, "I'm going to give you my personal mobile phone number." And he gave every passenger in the aeroplane his mobile phone number. He said, "If Qantas doesn't treat you in a way that makes you happy, you have my permission to call me. I want you to call me and tell me about it. If you have a journalist that's making wild claims that the plane was on fire and you want to talk to me about it, call me. Don't let a journalist tell you the plane was on fire. It wasn't. You know more than any of the journalists out there about what's happened." Full disclosure, completely informed them, completely transparent. And he adopted the role of a brand representative, of a salesperson for Qantas. And what he did, and what's written in the book QF32, is the best piece of marketing and PR and salesmanship that Airbus could ever have wished for. Because you read that book and go, that is the best engineered aeroplane in the history of the world, that it had that level of catastrophic failure and everybody lived. So this concept that everybody sells is important. We need systems in place where you service people, because service is the new sales model. Service people need to be listening for opportunities. Anybody who touches a customer is really a salesperson. So this concept of merge sales and marketing. And I really do genuinely believe that marketing needs to own things like web sales, potentially things like call centre telesales. They need to own those things and free up field sales to go and focus on real value. So marketing needs to own the responsibility for delivering sales-ready leads. They need to put in closed-loop programs where when anybody touches the website for high-value content, So white papers that are of absolute relevance to people in industries, for example, videos, when people register to view those things, it gets captured. That they have a lead scoring system based on what people are doing on the website. And when they get to a certain level, they go, this is now a sales ready lead. This is someone who's read 3 white papers, looked at 4 videos, they've downloaded something else. They're now absolutely ready for a conversation with one of our salespeople. Rather than just throwing junk at salespeople, and then when they get the good ones, they don't prosecute them properly. So really think about merging sales and marketing, and think about enablement. You know, enablement not just at the individual salesperson level, but enablement for the organisation. I'm a big believer that, you know, every organisation needs to have a CRM system to put their customers at the centre of what they're doing, not a finance system. Create a single source of the truth about customers and prospects. So again, an ERP system doesn't make you customer-centric. We need to think about how do we put customers at the heart of everything we're doing. Everything needs to be about them. We need to be listening to them well through social media. We need to know what their buying patterns are. We need to know what their history is with us as an organisation, and everybody in the organisation needs to see it. And I'll give you an example. Think about putting up a simple portal in your own environment, in your own intranet, where anybody in your organisation can register a lead and get rewarded for it, even though they're not in the sales organisation. You know, you think about an organisation like NAB, I'm not sure how many employees, 20, 30, 40,000, it'd be a lot. But those people know people. You think about the 6 degrees of separation. Reward people for identifying opportunities and passing them over so that everybody sells inside an organisation. And when you think about these things, there is a strong business case. Nucleus say the business case for CRM is 5.6 times. Every dollar that you invest, you get a very strong return. So it's absolutely fundable, even in a tough economic environment. So the key takeaways are, really think about driving a culture inside your organisation of everybody sells. Not just salespeople, marketing people, service people. Help salespeople market is another important thing. Merge sales and marketing together. If you don't make them one department, at least get marketing to be accountable for the quality of the leads that drive the revenue. Help salespeople market their own brand. Create closed loop systems so that you get an endless cycle feeding into the funnel of opportunities as people touch your website, come into your systems, you do email, nurture drip marketing to them, it gets them back to the website again, and keep focusing on building high value content. And then do enablement with an effective CRM. Get a single source of the truth for your customers. Thanks for listening.